When you say Africa is a dark continent, who said Africa is a dark continent? How much sunlight do we have in Africa? When does the sun set in Africa? Then if it is a dark continent, what is the white man doing in a dark continent? Who switches off the lights of the continent? Is it the light that is outside that is dark, or the light inside the house that is dark? It is economic darkness. Is it spiritual darkness? Is it political darkness? When they say we're a dark continent, who said we're a dark continent? And you find 10, 15 pages of economic questions. If you can just answer those questions, you're a doctor already. Agriculture, same thing. Business, same thing. Politics, same thing. Media, sports, same thing. So why are we promoting, with all due respect, the rugby's, etc.? Who is this an African game? How much money goes in here? What are African games? Why is this one more important? Is it because white people like it? Is it what? Is it accessible to all? Where does it start? Who originates it? What is the version of African rugby? How did we used to play in the past? Even our sports needs to be deconstructed. Because here we are sending our children to play these sports, whereas we had our old little games there. 2 stones, 3 stones, 2, 3, 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5. Highly mathematical games that we're developing the quality of our minds. Now, rather than just chasing a skin of a dead ox, they call it soccer. 22 boys who badly need rest, who are being watched by 120 people who badly need exercise. And at the end of this sport, who is healthier? The one watching or the one playing? So, and again, deconstruction for me, even your plate of food must be deconstructed. Even your medicine must be deconstructed and decolonized. So the colonization project for me says you are using the Western method and solution vis-a-vis the African solution. And for me, this is nothing new. It's just a consciousness that once those questions are on your frontal lobe, as you are interacting with the various institutions, particularly if you're professional, you can begin to see where are the areas where we need to start tweaking. I can never understand a woman who is sitting right now as a director of human resource, and she's still giving another woman 2 months maternity leave. And you forget that you need to decolonize even the labor policies. The woman needs 6 months. She needs 1 year maternity leave to look after her child. And when she is back, the husband can take another 1 year, and they have 2 years. And that little child can at least have a parent for the first 2 years of their lives. These are the kind of policies we want to see being implemented by the educated. But alas, no. This woman walks into the office and she becomes harder than the men that were sitting there before her. Feels sorry for nobody. Brings no mercy with her. This is work, my sister. You take it or leave it. And you wonder, what happened to you understanding where the African is and what sort of decolonization needs to happen from restaurants to clubs to hotels to clothes to pharmacies to universities. It's a project that the entire African continent, all of us as professionals, need to start comprehending and applying our efforts to.
Let's go, for instance, on the African questions on land. What is an estate, and how do you connect the African children to their estates? How do you give people land under their feet when they don't own the estate between their ears and between their legs? Who is planting the African estate, and who is eating from it? Are the graves not the title deeds to our land rights? Where do we get our food if we do not have the access to the land? Where do we bury our loved ones if we do not have the land? Where do we get our herbs and minerals for our tools? Is this not the inheritance that has been given to us by our ancestors? Has the African ever claimed European, Chinese, or American land and proceeded there to wage war to own their land, and then so it continues? The land part.
There's no program that I would run, even if people can just know me as Mr. Land. I'll be happy, because until we unpack what land means, we don't own it. We come from it. Our land is us. It's an integral part of us. All other ministries are a waste of time. There's only one ministry that counts. That's the Ministry of Land. That's where Ministry of Housing. That's Ministry of Forestation. That's Ministry of Water. That's Ministry of Mining. That's Ministry of Roads. There's no other ministry we can talk about. Ministry of Defense. What are you defending? You're defending the piece of land. So without us as Africans understanding the impact of land ownership, we'll waste time doing all other types of politics. But land is the critical part to which our present African governments, they need to start answering that simple question. We never went to war to fight for democracy. We actually taught the white people democracy because during their time, they deprived us of the same democracy. So they cannot teach us about democracy. We went to fight for war. We went to war to fight for land. That's the only reason we went to fight for land. Our dispossessed land. Because with land is means of production, means of mining, means of housing, means of water, means of land. And until we own the land between our two ears, we can't own the land underneath our feet and the land between our legs. At the end of the day, it's mental liberation that must precede land ownership.
Now, it continues to ask questions. When I get into the side of the solutions, what are the solutions about land?
The political system must deliver on that mandate, for a start. The community must be going to school right now to get educated, to be equipped to take over those land. I'm saying so very very tactically, because it would be dangerous, for example, in South Africa, to say we're going to be taking away farms from white people and giving them to the black community.
Yeah.
But then you need to do a proper survey and say what is the food consumption of the country? Who is supplying this food to this community? Because if you interrupt the market from production using politics to redistribute land, you might have to go through a recession and lack of food. Because the people that now have the pieces of land in their hands don't even know how to work the land and make it productive. So I hope that the Department of Agriculture and land banks should have been involved for the longest of time between 1994 to date, that should we say we want to take over land, we know that DJ Sbu can do the millies. This one can do the cabbages. This one can do this. But unfortunately, that knowledge, in many cases, particularly in the South African continent, it is still trapped in the colonial, the Afrikaners and the white farmers. But alas, in Zim, we can gladly say after they were chased away from the country, the environment has changed. People are now able, and by the way, and I feel right now the African child is mismatched for the global space that he must be dealing with. He thinks he's going there as an equal. Meanwhile, he's going there as an abused child who does not even fully comprehend the system that we're moving into. We have taken our children, Sbu, to Caesar, and we are worried, why do they come back as Romans? So the education that we have and the relevance of, how do you know that is true? When an educated man like myself goes back to the village where he grew up in, and the village can no longer relate to me. I can't eat the same food. I can't sleep on the same floor. I can't drink the same water I used to drink in the river. I can't milk the cows. And I protect my children from the same environment that brought me up. Then am I adding value here, or have become a nuisance here? So the educated person, when they go back to the environment that brought them up, there's actually I've known one mother actually had to go and ask for a neighbor to give their son a bed to sleep on, because he was coming from a foreign world. He could not sleep on the floor. He said, but if you can't sleep on the floor, then why did you buy your mother the bed that you can sleep on? He became a nuisance to his own mother. And we come to these rural areas with our cars full of groceries, our yogurts, and our what. We go to the village, our children eat those yogurts and everything else. When they are finished, we go back to town to where we come from. The question is, what have your children learned? You literally brought your KFCs with you, and you protected the children from what made you. And you've given them what you never had. But you forget that what made you are these values. So most likely you're bringing up your children to become what you don't know, because you are not able to open that door of learning between your experience, ekas, etembisa, tatin to honest man, I forgot I'm all stars. Just some social interesting, and interact them with the community that made you, so that next time you hear them say, they understand that your environment has made you. And if you don't appreciate what made me, most likely are going to become something that I don't even know, and something that you don't know also. Integration of information and sharing of experience becomes intimate way of passing on IP, intellectual information that secures the next generation. And that is the market that you need to give over to your children as part of their estate.